Welcome back to the channel, and today we're checking out the Divo Knives Tallboy. These will be dropping on September 12th, 2024 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Divo Knives site, plus the vendors with the exclusives, and those are Traditional Pocket Knives, White Mountain Knives, and Blade Binge. Those all look really sick. I will have everything linked down in the description, and use code STASA23 to get you 10% off on all models. So the Tallboy is the largest Divo model so far. Glad to see them branching out a little bit. And the price tag on this knife is what's so impressive in my opinion. These are going to come in at $199. And I'm hoping by the end of this review, you'll know if this one's right for you or not. We're going to dive right into it. You have an overall length of 8 inches long. You have a 3.5-inch blade of CPM S90V steel. And they did some test samples, and the Rockwell hardness was getting right close to 62 HRC, and that is awesome because their range is from 60 to 62. Usually you see it closer to like the 60.5 whenever companies are trying to hit their ranges, which I'm definitely good with S90V. I love S90V. It takes a really aggressive toothy edge, and it holds an edge for a good amount of time. This is an excellent utilitarian blade shape. You got that very fine needle-like precision tip there. Great for doing these drag cuts like this and for your very fine precision cuts. Not to mention you have this straight edge, so you can have full power from that heel all the way to that tip doing in-hand slicing motion cuts. You have two excellently placed sets of jimping, and they grip the finger perfectly. They're nice, fine cut rows of jimping, so if you choked up, for me it's perfect. And then in this pointer finger grip, it's sitting right where I need it. Your finger's not moving, and it's not uncomfortable if you accidentally slide your finger across it. My particular version has a vertical belt satin on the primary grind that's nice and clean, and you have a horizontal brushed satin finish on the flats. They did a good job with this sharpening choil. As you can see here, I sharpened it up after I finished the testing just to make sure, because it's kind of hard to tell, but that plunge grind comes to about right here. So as long as you don't put too much pressure right here, you're going to be fine for several sharpenings before it'll start to widen at the heel. We have a thumb hole and dual thumb studs for your deployment. We'll talk about that later. You have a nice deep hollow grind here that comes down nice and thin to around 17 thousandths behind the edge, and this one has around a 24 degrees per side edge bevel. Let's see how it performs. Boy, this one came with a nice sticky edge out of box. Love seeing that, and this hollow grind is slicing like nobody's business. Boy, I just love the way a good hollow grind, how it performs. I just like the sliciness to them, and being this one has a pretty much straight edge to it, very close to a straight edge. It's slicing very nicely. You're going to be able to get a lot of power behind your cuts, and I did find myself sitting in that forward choil area just so I wouldn't get hung up in that area, and I can control that edge a lot better, so it just makes the most sense in my opinion. Now we're going to test the ergos and see how that edge wants to bite. Boy, look at that. It's making the fine curls very easily. Now there is a knot right to the left of where I'm cutting, or a piece of something hard in there, so it did kind of throw me off for a second, but I just started bearing down and just taking chunks, showing how much power you can get into this wood, how powerful that edge is, and it was comfortable. Nothing poking prodding me. You know, as comfortable as, you know, flat scales can be. But yeah, it was nice. Now we're just showing how that edge has enough toothiness to get through this 1/2-inch sisal rope. I did lift it up on the block just because it makes it easier. I would need just a little bit more belly not to have to do this, but you'll see when it comes to all the other materials after this, I did not use the block. So, you know, I could have probably done it without it. It just saves my fingers from getting blisters, especially with the straight edges. It doesn't matter how sharp they are. Whenever you don't have enough clearance before you hit your scales or your knuckles, it just makes it a lot more not enjoyable, should I say. But yeah, it's blowing through the sisal rope, no problem. I expect it to do well. After I finish this, I'll probably lay the edge angle back to about, I don't know, 20 to anywhere from 17 to 20 degrees. I usually go to 17 to 18, but this one I'll probably go to 20. Just because I'm not sure how many sharpenings I'll get with the sharpening tool that's here. I won't know that till after I sharpen it. And once I put the 20-degree bevel on it, I'll probably use that one until it goes all. Then maybe I'll lower it back even more. But I got to be honest, even at the 24, as long as it's sharp, it's going to perform. It's going to perform very well. There's no complaining here. Then we get through 180 cuts with this piece I cut. And y'all know I'm not testing for edge retention, just making sure nothing crazy goes on with the edge and see how it feels when it's slicing. Yeah, it's going to really dominate at these drag cuts, precision cuts, fine, detailed stuff. And like I said earlier, you can do all this type of cutting on a flat cutting surface, but if you look real closely, all I'm getting is that forward portion by that tip into the material before I'm contacting the cutting board. So that's why it has to be nice and sharp, and it's just not as easy to do thicker, more dense materials like that sisal rope. But yeah, did a fantastic job with all my cutting material. Excellent job, Divo Knives and Kubi. Well, I figured it would perform good because I've tested enough of Kubi Knives S90V. If I didn't say that earlier, I apologize, but Kubi is the OEM for the Tallboy, and I've been very impressed with the performance on their steel and how much they've progressed over the last year or two. Now let's close it up. Take a look at the deployment and the action of this knife. So like I said earlier, you have a thumb hole, you have dual thumb studs. So if you want to do a reverse flick, you got that thumb hole that works. You can also use that thumb stud right there if you want to use it to reverse flick. The thumb flick works best with that thumb stud. If you want to roll it out, you can. And of course, you could pinch the hole right there and do the Spidey drop. It's riding on ceramic bearings with a ceramic detent ball, giving it a nice, glassy, smooth, controlled action. Nice positive break on that detent. That thing comes rocketing out. Now let's take a look at these beautiful handle scales here. My variation is called the Jack Sparrow, which is the black pearl camo carbon. I think it is absolutely stunning. One of the same materials that we picked out for the Divo Fireball. Love this micro milled pattern. It kind of looks like a Doppler pattern or something like that. And then the way these chamfers look right here, just because of the carbon fiber, it gives it a completely different look. You can see you have the wavy pattern here, and then you have like just the camo look on the top. I think it looks very appealing. And you have the round circles right there as well. Being that this is carbon fiber, this thing weighs nothing. We'll check that out in a little bit. The Jack Sparrow has your black titanium pivot collar and your black titanium pocket clip and your black thumb studs here, along with the black backspacer. If you get this one and you don't like the black, they will be selling the hardware kits on the Divo Knives site, which you can get purple, blue, black, satin. All those, just the regular tie ones, are $35. You get the pivot collars, get the backspacer, and the tie pocket clip. Or for $75, he's going to have Zirca kits. On the Divo site, you can also get what they're calling the purple nurple. Absolutely love that. And that one is the purple flow camo carbon, and it has the purple titanium accents on it. And then, like I said, the other ones are going to be exclusive to those dealers I talked about earlier in the video. So let's take a close look at this. You have the Divo branded pivot, which I don't mind that at all. You have Torx T8 throughout. Absolutely love that. During the testing, these scales were nice and comfortable. When I was choked up, it was very nice as well. You know, nothing poking, prodding me, nothing sticking me. Everything was nice and comfortable. We have a 3D milled titanium pocket clip that is reversible, as you can see. And I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like you could put the wire clip replacement here as well. I'm not positive on that, but that's just what it looks like to me. And it's not a deep carry, but that's all that sticks out of the pocket right there. Take a look at the inside. So you do not have a liner on the show side, as you can see there. All you have is this inset locking liner, which they're calling this right here their exposed liner lock. I like this. Look how thick this thing is. Big old chunk of steel there. But being that you don't have a liner here, just the locking liner and the carbon fiber, this thing is nice and lightweight, coming in at 88.5 grams or 3.12 ounces. That is fantastic. The lockup on my knife, I'd say, is around 40, maybe 50% or so. Nice tight engagement. There's your steel marking on the tang of the blade. Love how they keep the blade sterile. And the access to the lock bar is fantastic. Some of the best I've ever seen there. I like how they did that. And then they got a nice little chamfer right here. Hopefully you can see that chamfer. Nice and comfortable. Easy to get my thumb in there. And it's not too big to where whenever I was bearing down, I was feeling like I was pulling on that lock bar. So perfectly executed. The lockup on this bad boy is, I mean, when I say no movement in any direction whatsoever, very, very tight lockup there. Good geometry. Now for some size comparisons, we have the Divo Knives Mash and the Divo Knives Stout V2. You can see it's bigger than both of these. And it's about identical in length to the Vero Axon. And it's just a hair longer than the Spyderco Smock. Next up, we have the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. And lastly, it's a little smaller than the Spyderco PM2, good bit bigger than the Power 3, but it has more cutting edge than the Power 2. All right, now for my nitpicks and complaints. I only have one very, very minor nitpick. It's not even really that big of a deal in my opinion. And the reason there's not more is because, like I said, whenever there's something that is seen and it's something they think would benefit by fixing it, they fix it. So the only thing that I could maybe be nitpicky about is making this edge bevel a little thinner. Be great to at least get it to like 20 degrees per side, but not the biggest deal because I can easily lower that edge angle back myself, and that's what I did right after I finished testing it. You know, another minor nitpick, but it's really minor because it's still good. They could have come up some and then over on the sharpening tool or make them bring the plunge grind all the way to the back. So you could have all this to sharpen. Now you got to about right here. But I did lay this edge angle back 2 degrees from factory. So, you know, it just depends on if you plan on doing that or not. I still should have, I'd say 3, maybe 4 sharpenings. So a good bit of sharpenings, more than the average knife. My final thoughts. At $199, I think it's a no-brainer. I absolutely love this one. Before this, my favorites are the Mash and the Stout V2. So now these three are going to be fighting back and forth. Now, I like every one of the Divo models, but these are the ones that get the most pocket time. I love this one because of how extremely lightweight it is, and I just love the blade shape. So yeah, they're all going to be fighting for pocket time, but this one was in the pocket before I started this video. It's going back in the pocket. And I wouldn't hesitate. I'm sure these are going to probably sell out rather quickly. Like I said, it's not dropping till tomorrow. So if you click on my link before tomorrow, it's going to say sold out. And I'm sure I'll have 2 or 3 people in the comments saying, oh, it's already sold out. No, it's not. Make sure to check the time. I'm not trying to be rude, but just check the date. Make sure you're looking at that. And like I said, I'll have all the dealer exclusives linked down below as well. And now I got to go get ready for Hurricane Francine that should be hitting us anytime now. So hopefully that goes okay. And if we don't lose internet, I'll have another video out for y'all tomorrow. And if you have any questions in particular about the Tallboy, feel free to ask me down in the comments. I'll do my best to get back with you. And I hope every one of y'all is having an absolute amazing day. Anybody else in the line of this hurricane, please stay safe. All right, guys and girls, I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.